and absolutely no involvement in those discussions. After the explosive accusation from the couple on air, the president responded, tweeting, "Watched Low Graded at Morning Joe for the first time in long time. Fake news. He called me to stop a National Enquirer article. I said no. Bad show." Scarborough quoted the president's tweets and called him out. "Yet another lie. I have texts from your top aides and phone records. Also, those records show I haven't spoken with you in many months." NBC confirmed to CNN that Scarborough told NBC News executives about the threats and calls from the White House as they were happening. But the White House is putting out a different spin. An official says it was Joe Scarborough who called Jared Kushner about the upcoming National Enquirer story. Kushner then told Scarborough to call the president, but the official denies there was any indication that the president would help kill the Enquirer story in exchange. The president himself did not answer questions about the accusations at his joint press conference today. Now, the White House has not released any official statement on the accusation, and Joe Scarborough has not responded to CNN's request for additional details on his version of events. He also has not released any of those text or call logs he claims to have from the White House. Well,
all right, Jessica, thanks very much. Jessica Schneider reporting. Also tonight, the president is heading to his golf club in New Jersey. The holiday weekend now getting underway without any new Republican deal on health care. The president gave Senate negotiators a surprise earlier today that could make their work a lot more difficult. Let's go to our senior Washington correspondent, Joe Johns. He's over at the White House. Joe, Mr. Trump posted a new tweet about the timing of repealing and replacing Obamacare.
Right, Wolf. At the start of the day, it sounded like a big shift for a president who had promised right after he was elected that the repeal and replacement of Obamacare would come simultaneously so as not to end coverage for anybody who had the insurance with a lapse. But today, this morning, the president issued a new tweet. It said if Republican senators are unable to pass what they're working on now, they should immediately repeal and then replace at a later date. It's not really a new idea. Conservatives have been talking about this for some time, but it certainly complicates efforts on the Hill to get a bill. And then there was this afternoon, White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Sanders telling reporters in the off-camera briefing that nothing has changed. Listen.
The president hasn't changed his thinking at all. I mean, he's campaigned on, talked about since he was elected, repealing and replacing Obamacare. We're still fully committed to pushing through with the Senate at this point. We're, looking at every possible option of repealing and replacing Obamacare.
So when it comes to the health care debate, the more things change, the more things remain the same. And that apparently includes the mixed messages coming out of the White House on how to handle it.
All right, Joe, thanks very much. Joe Johns at the White House. Also tonight, we're learning about another major witness who's agreed to testify before Congress in the Russia investigation. Let's go quickly to our senior congressional reporter, Manu Raj, who the House Intelligence Committee now is moving very quickly to line up important interviews. What's the latest?
Yeah, that's right. Michael Caputo, who was Trump campaign communications advisor, has agreed to testify before the committee in a closed session. His attorney telling me earlier today that on July 14th, he does plan to go forward. Now, Caputo served in this role as a communications advisor. He has some ties to Russia, having worked in Moscow back in the 1990s, as well as doing some work with Gazprom, an energy conglomerate in Russia as well. Now, he has, of course, denied having any involvement with the Russians or any campaign coordination at all, said that he's more than willing to answer questions before this committee. He is also a close associate and ally of Roger Stone, the Trump advisor who had communications allegedly with Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, as well as Lucifer II, who's known for the U.S. intelligence as presumably the Russian hacker. Stone also denied he's done nothing wrong with Stone, also agreeing to come before that committee on July 24th. Now, July is shaping up to be a very busy month for the House Intelligence Committee, not just those two gentlemen coming before them, but also Susan Rice, the Obama former national security advisor, agreed to testify behind closed doors. This as that committee ramps up its investigation into any possible ties between Russian officials and Trump officials. And on the Senate side, the chairman of that committee, Richard Burr, telling me earlier this week that they have interviewed more than 40 witnesses so far It's still uncertain when some big names will come forward. Paul Manafort, the former Trump campaign chairman, and Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law. Both committees want to talk to them. The question a matter of when, but now at least some other names are coming forward before Congress in a classified setting.
All right, Manu, thanks very much. Manu Raju up on Capitol Hill. Let's talk about all of this with Congressman Gregory Meeks. He's a Democrat on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Good being with you.
Lots to get to.
Confronted Russia about anything from the campaign.
What?
He was saying how great Putin is. In fact, saying Putin was even better than President Obama. Also asking the Russians to keep digging and doing what they were doing with reference to emails, to him giving away national security interests in the White House. And so I am very concerned. Unlike the new president of France, Macron, who confronted Putin when Putin was right in front of him just about. I don't see this president doing just that. He's not said anything or done anything. In fact, Wolf, it was very disconcerting to me when just the other day, when the UN ambassador was testifying before the U.S. UN ambassador was testifying before the Foreign Affairs Committee and was asked by a colleague of mine, had she ever spoken to the President of the United States about Russia's intrusion into our democracy and this election. And when she answered she had never talked to him because she would deal with other Russian diplomats in the UN, that is absolutely shocking to me. And still to this day, we have not heard the President of the United States says, as the other intelligence agencies have, all 17 of them, that yes, Russia did try to influence this election.
What are the repercussions, Congressman, if the Trump administration doesn't hold Russia accountable for its destabilizing efforts during the presidential election here, but also other destabilizing efforts around the world?
Well, that's exactly right. The problem is that we look at what would be to Putin's advantage, because one of the things he definitely would like is there to be a shakeup in Europe and in the European unity. And what President Trump is doing, it is causing that kind of stirring to take place. It's playing around in those spheres, which will not make any of us safe in Europe or in America at a time when our allies and our alliances with NATO and the EU is more important than ever. And it also does not discourage, or it leads to opening the door for others to take the lead in democracy. And talking about the lead in democracy. People talk about, again, with Ambassador Haley, I was really upset because she talked about America is back leading the world. No, the Pew reports that just came out, the Pew just came out with a survey showing how America is pulling out of the world, and the world is very concerned about America and the direction in which it's moving in. And by pulling out of the Paris Agreement, looking to pull out of the various
other agreements that we had, whether it's the trade agreement that we had with Mexico, now with NAFTA, and they talked about with South Korea. It's very disconcerting. No one knows what this president talks about or stands for, because he even contradicts his own people. He contradicts the Secretary of State Tillerson. And I think recently you saw some frustration from him. So it's just he's so erratic and childish that it puts our foreign policy altogether. And it's very disconcerting.
No. We saw that Wall Street Journal report that a Republican opposition researcher tried to obtain emails he thought were stolen from Hillary Clinton's email server. If you saw that report, I'm anxious to get your reaction.
I just don't understand Donald Trump and his people and the people around him and how they are looking to move this country. They're still going back, trying to, well, we know that Russia was involved. All of our 17 intelligence agencies indicated the same. That's no longer a question. That's no longer an issue. And that's why, my concern, anytime I hear those kinds of stories, well, I know that's why it's important for the intelligence committees to do what they're doing, for Mr. Mueller to do his investigation. And again, I urge that we have an independent commission that's set up so that we can know what Russia did and then kind of put something in place to prevent it from ever happening again. Because if we wait on the executive branch of government to do something, I'm afraid that we'll be waiting forever.
As you know, Congressman, the White House is pressuring China to do more on the North Korean threat by announcing new sanctions on a Chinese bank, allowing a major arms deal for the U.S. to go through with Taiwan. You were just in the region in South Korea. Do you approve of these latest actions by the president trying to squeeze the Chinese to force them to deal more directly with the North Korean threat?
Well, I do believe that we have to put some pressure on China. Now, I think there's a difference. When you talk about some of the sanctions and you're talking about trying to make sure that they're not financing North Korea, whether it's coal or other areas, we need to crack down on that. And selling weapons to Taiwan, which I think is a violation and something that we should not do. That's a whole different ball game, and it takes it into a different area. So for me, it's two different things. Yes, we need China to pressure North Korea and bring them to the table to stop them from continuing to testing for nuclear weapons. We need to make sure that we're in partnership with Japan and South Korea. And so I think that's absolutely important. But then to go tips the balance, I think, if you start talking about selling arms to Taiwan, that is, I think, out of bounds. Takes us away from what we want to do, because others will also see that that's out of bounds with reference to international law.
The South Korean President Moon, speaking here in Washington today, he says engaging in talks with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is necessary to resolve the North Korea nuclear missile issue. Do you agree with that approach? Should the U.S. Start a direct dialogue with Kim Jong-un's regime?
I don't think it should be a direct dialogue, no. I think that, we had the North Koreans renege on an agreement when we had the six-party talks in the past. And then there is some question as to whether or not the United States pulled back or something on that, right? This was when there was the transfer from the Clinton administration to the Bush administration. So we need to review that. I'm one to think that we should, with China, if we put the appropriate pressure on North Korea, then with South Korea and Japan in a multilateral way, go back and try to do something very similar, in my estimation, as to how we've done with the six-party talks in Iran, where we have a nuclear agreement there, where it can be verified and you can have access to all of the developments that's taking place in North Korea. I'm for that type of a movement and direction. And I think that the kinds of sanctions that work in Iran to get them to the table is very similar to what we need to do again in North Korea.
U.S.-backed troops are closing in around the ISIS de facto capital of Raqqa in Syria. Congressman, what does that mean for the U.S. fight against ISIS and the long-term strategy in Syria? Do you see a long-term U.S. strategy in Syria?
Again, well, we don't know what the strategy is. Members of Congress is waiting to see what that strategy is. There's not been a strategy that's been articulated. I believe that what the president still needs to do, and I thought this was appropriate for President Obama also, each president needs to come back to Congress because we are the ones that need to vote on whether or not they're, what the additional force should or should not be. And so I would hope that the president begins to articulate a strategy to Congress and then come back and ask for a vote if he wants to escalate anything else.
My foot is fucking hurting.
Whether it's in Syria or anywhere else in the world in that regard, so that we know and have a clear picture of what he intends to do. Because right now, no one knows what he intends to do. And there's two branches of government. We just have to leave him out here to do the erratic matter, any erratic matter that he has conducted himself thus far as President of the United States.
Congressman has said many times he doesn't want to telegraph his next steps. I'd like you to stand by, Congressman Meeks. There's much more I want to discuss with you, but I got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hello?
Severe Crohn's disease. I kept looking for ways to manage my symptoms. I thought I was doing okay. And it hit me. Managing was all I was doing. When I told my doctor, I learned Humira is for people who still have symptoms of moderate to severe Crohn's disease, even after trying other medications. In clinical studies, the majority of people on Humira saw significant symptom relief and many achieved remission. Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis, serious sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, or proton infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection. Managing your symptoms? Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira.
Sure, good buddy, old pal.
Offer up is an in-free app that shows what your neighbors are selling.
It's kind of like a game. There's always big surprises.
Come on, sofa.
Come on, dining room table.
Come on.
That's great TV. Offer up is free to use. Find anything you want nearby.
Looking for a hotel that fits your budget? TripAdvisor now searches over 200 sites to find you the hotel you want at the lowest price.
My bad.
Thinking again. Find a price that fits. TripAdvisor.
It's fucking
our
hurts.
bathtub. But who assigned for a remodel? Not this family. And then there's the mess. Yeah, I heard about that fitter. They came in and put a beautiful new bathtub right over our old one. Bathfitter
Hello.
that provide watertight fit. There's no mess, no demolition, and they get it done in as little as 1 day. Plus, they provide a lifetime guarantee. Thanks to Bathfitter, I have a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com. When you're close
My
to
leg
people
fucking
you love,
hurts. Ow.
does psoriasis ever get in the way of a touching moment? If you have moderate to severe psoriasis,
There it
you can
is.
embrace the chance of completely clear skin with Taltz.
Hello?
Taltz is proven
Hello, I am Kristen.
completely clear
Hello, my good old friends.
Hi. Hi.
My legs fucking hurt so goddamn bad.
Completely clear skin.
Oh,
my.
Maybe
because I keep sitting on it, that's why.
Risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you are being treated for an infection.
So, how are y'all
or if you
doing?
have received a vaccine.
Good. How about you?
Inflammatory bowel disease
I hate my
can happen
life.
with Taltz, including
Don't
worsening
say
I'm
that.
tired.
serious
I'm
allergic
hot.
reactions can occur.
I want water.
Now's your
No,
chance.
I
Completely
can't
clear
because I have no
skin.
water.
Just ask your doctor about Taltz.
Oh. So wait, you're live? Wait, what's your channel? Send me your channel.
When someone truly believes in you,
I don't know how live, so yeah, I'm
hitting the
broadcasting.
game-winning home run.
Yeah. Wait, you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah,
Can you send me the link to your channel so I can sub?
Sure.
Hang
Hang on. It might take me a while
Okay.
because I'm slow as fuck.
Marina, I'm gonna hurt him.
Why?
I told you not to do this.
When life gets difficult, you can refinance with us at any time without paying for the closing costs. So call Log on or visit your local neighborhood branch today. There's no cost for applications. It's just how easy it is to get into criminal your home purchase. Put our nationwide team of over 6,000 to work for you. Loan Depot, we believe in you. Closed captioning brought to you by InventHelp. Call 1-800-900-0202. Do you have an idea for an
Look,
adventure?
Ray, he's talking normal. That's how angry he got
Your
at
idea?
you.
Do you want to talk to get that bad? Call InventHelp now for more information.
Oh my gosh, so hot.
We're back with Democratic Congressman Gregory Meeks.
I'm dying.
Talking about the president's war of words with two cable TV hosts. We're also following new pushback
He just
against
talk normal.
controversial voter fraud commissions.
I don't think she
officials
can.
now in multiple states, they're refusing to comply with the panel's request for lots of personal voter information. Congressman, one of the things that they want information
You know, I
about
haven't freaking no.
all
That's not
registrants
right.
from middle names,
It's just not right at all.
addresses,
That's physically.
last 4 digits of social security, voter history, lots of personal information, driver's license, if available publicly. Does sharing this kind of voter information with this new federal commission created by the president, because he suggested 3 to 5 million illegal votes were cast in the last election, are you accepting that? Are you ready to go along with that kind of sharing of information with the federal commission?
Absolutely not. Well, I think that's a violation of everyone's personal information and disclosure. I agree with Secretary of State of Mississippi.
Oh my God, there's a picture of a bus in a house. What the fuck?
And Mississippi is a good place to go for. Well, none of that is
What the fuck?
based upon any facts. If you look at all of the facts across this country, if you talk to both secretaries of states who are from Democratic as well as Republican states,
Oh my God.
they say that there's no such voter.
We all come together just for you.
There's like a fucking bus in the house. What the fuck?
Calm down, please.
It should need to be looked at in a very close and where there should be some court cases where people are prevented from voting. We're supposed to be the leaders of the free world and encouraging and as many people to.
How are y'all doing?
And that is what we see not taking place.
Doing good,
No,
doing good impressions, or are you talking to the audience?
by any of the states.
I'm so bored. I have nothing to do. I'm just looking at
Different,
pictures.
issue, Congressman. What's your reaction
I like
to the White
pictures.
House saying today
Pictures
that
are fun.
Chicago's crime, and it is significant as we all know, is quote
I am
driven
straight
by morality?
that you will ever find.
I think that
That's how he
if you
looked at him.
in any place where you have a high crime, you look at whether or
His
not
eyes are like open. That's how he looked at
and
him.
great
Just,
places to live and proper opportunities for jobs. That's all.
oh, you
part
get to
of
see
it.
another picture
It's
from an animation.
also-
God.
It's a whole holistic approach that needs to take place. You know, once upon a time, folks would say that, and it was, we had a very extreme high crime rate here in New York City. But the main
I'm like scared right now.
Law enforcement.
Why?
With community and joint parties.
Okay, I'm on Google Plus right now. I scroll up. I look at this one picture where a bus is in a house for some reason.
Oh my. Like
I'm like,
an
what the fuck?
accident, or was just
No, it's like the whole bus broke into the house and everything's broken.
Oh, that's an accident.
Damn! How much was that guy drinking? Good lord. If I was on that bus, I'd be like, nope, 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 jump out the window.
Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll.
roll.
There's a new My Little Pony movie coming out. I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah.
It looks good, but I
Going. I'm trying to sleep. I'm tired.
how do you think I feel?
I've been up like all night and then I just sleep a whole day. So I've
Same.
been up for technically 24 hours.
I know exactly how you feel. They turn into mermaids? Oh hell no. That's not normal.
Get car without car salesman. Carvana.com.
I was gonna go back to being normal.
Down bad. We started Hubble because contacts are too expensive. At Hubble,
Our fresh daily contact.
Are you guys fans of Bendy?
No.
Daily contacts has a price.
You have a vision. It's behind everything you do. Even when you least expect it, it comes through. You know what you want.
Horse is so cute.
Help make it real.
Oh my god.
You need choices? We've got all kinds, including special finishes and papers. And they're all absolutely guaranteed.
Oh, my back, I can't sit up like I used to.
And we have your car.
Oh my god, back when I was 6, I could sit up
We
straight.
have BC500.
Ooh, I just...
One day I'm chewing a piece of hard candy, and my 2 front teeth snapped off. My teeth were so messed up. I work at a casino. When I would laugh or engage with the players, I did it like this a lot because I was embarrassed of my teeth. I don't think dentures were ever a solution. The only option for me was clear choice.
So what are you guys doing right now?
Role playing.
Oh god.
You're making Devin cry again.
In one facility, working together as a team, we can perform this procedure in one day.
The Clear Choice one-day approach is making dental implants a reality for people all over the country.
This is like fun role playing. What's wrong with role playing?
Schedule your free consultation today.
Oh, why'd you go? Oh god.
I've been in a lot of role plays, and some of them had sex in it. I'm like,
Well, my mom is right here. My mom is right here.
Language.
Right here.
Language.
Right here. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Don't murder me, please. I have wife and kids. Don't do
No,
this.
no, you're not supposed to have that.
I have wife and kids. Don't do this.
Disrespect. Calm down.
Well, glad you're lucky because mom actually laughed about it. So I guess you're fine. You're lucky.
Yay.
She wouldn't have laughed at it.
Your first step in joining over
Dang it.
60,000 patients who found lasting relief.
Well, I'm not even part of it. Well, I don't know what you played me for. I'm not part of it.
I hear her. I want to be part of it.
She said that Bloody's lucky that I'm not.
Wow.
Call 1-800-347-BACK now for your no-cost MRI review. Windsor's Institute of Listening Incision, a lifetime of standing tall.
It's so hot in my house.
All right, guys, can you pause that? No. Why? Because I'm a werewolf? You gonna do the werewolf thing again?
I can have my Jesus doesn't fail and it's all like, nope, you kiss me. Okay, get away.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, they're brothers.
Wow.
His brother's drunk and he just kissed her.
What? What? Say that again?
Brothers.
Oh no.
Okay, so they're brothers and
Yeah.
and hold on. Can you bring me my food?
Wow.
I want food. Let me down. Mickey D.
Wow.
Oh, okay, so I am gonna eat. I'll stay up until you get here. Alright, so what happened was one of the brothers and one of his brothers is drunk, so he kissed him and was trying to get a hug, but the other one doesn't want one. What?
Can I shoot myself right now, please? No. Please? Oh, I heard that 2 gay guys who were dating, but they found out they were brothers.
They're not good.
Oh, this is one thing I looked up. It's where 2 gay guys who are like dating, and then they find out they're brothers. It's so heartbreaking.
Oh.
I'm like, I was crying. It's like,
What happens when they find out they're brothers?
oh my god. There were tears, honey. There were tears. I couldn't take it.
Raina, what if I made Mikey go to this role play, like run in the other room on this role play with buddies in them?
Oh god.
Man, please go in over here.
after this unprecedented and remarkably, vile tweets that will raise the
I'm trying to skip Mikey and Devin.
President Trump has the temperament, qualifications, and personal, attributes for the job. But there are legal questions. We're back and forth all day in articles on the internet among legal observers about whether or not this meets the standard for extortion.
I told you, it's like he went from this role play and scooted into the other room.
Is whether, because of the nexus to New York City, where the show is filmed and where I believe at least one of them lives, will this provide a justification for the New York Attorney General? And you can be sure that he would be very happy.
Oh no, here comes Ryan.
Certainly a lot of accomplishments in the Twitter this week. Take a look at this now. This is what he tweeted about today. You can see
there was someone else who was supposed to be in this, but I don't think she's on.
What he didn't tweet about, including a partial
travel ban
going into effect, the gains in the fight against ISIS, the steps his voter fraud commission is taking. Is this a missed opportunity?
So tired. I'm hungry.
When I read the newspapers every day, I read, especially overseas papers, well, you're looking at some of the things happening in America that are remarkable, and some of them are.
They don't ship these.
What we didn't mention,
that's called ghost. When you see that, you just run.
And a rapid increase in deportations. We don't have recent figures on those. Those are directly resulting from what the president has told the Department of Homeland Security to do. You mentioned the gains against ISIS. I would add to that the expansion of military strikes against terrorist targets. In any typical world war.
Have you ever role played Bloody?
Here's what I don't understand.
Huh?
I used to think this was a
Have you ever role played?
Yeah, like hundreds of times.
The spokesman of the White
I still
House
do
keeps
it.
telling us, focus on the issues. I just mentioned several that I think are not only interesting but reflect positively on the president. When the spokesman tell us that, and then the president goes out and talks about stuff that have nothing to do with it.
That's what I say to Ashley. I don't know
We
what
can talk about what the president says, not what he's accomplished.
It's a fair point that Kellyanne Conway, Jerry Diamond, one of the White House reporters.
Wait, what's happening?
A top advisor.
So they're with their other brother now.
Going after
the oldest is still running away from the
overall media coverage.
Wait, is that right? Is Devin third oldest?
Yeah.
Certainly understand from her perspective, not productive, but for her to start raising questions about the patriotism of those who are covering the White House.
Yeah, but Devin came out first.
Yeah, it really raises questions, especially when you're talking about reporters who are doing their jobs, who are covering the president honestly and factually, and just because that coverage may be negative because of some of the things that the president is doing, some of the controversies and the investigations.
I'm looking through DVD art, and I see a lot of porn. My God.
Continuation of this undermining
It's
a lot of the freedom
It's
of
so
the press
gorgeous.
we see
My God.
from this White House. It's also part of a larger pattern, which is this White House,
Can't stop looking at it.
particularly from the communications department, continuing.
If it's
Yesterday, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the deputy press
Does
secretary,
anybody have bleach right now? I need it, like badly.
Wait, you're 16 years old?
Yes.
Wait, you're 16?
Yes.
The president's job.
Don't call the cops, please.
He's the one who should be
How are you older than me?
I am. Ha!
I'm confused.
Raina's like 13 and I'm like 14.
That's not our job.
Don't worry, I'm really short. I may be 16, but I'm really fucking short.
Oh, okay.
Is the president taking
I get it from my mom. I hate it. My dad is like taller than my mom. And I got my mom's shortness.
He has tried and perhaps has effectively cast the media as the heel in wrestling.
Wait, who the fuck send me points?
The media, especially even very quality journalism, and you see his aides taking cues from that as well. It's not the job of the media, or certainly the press, and the mainstream press that is attempting to describe what is happening in accurate
Don't get raped.
To create a positive spin. That's the president's job, is to build a
What I say to my friends all the time, don't get raped. Make sure you bring a buddy with you.
She's a fraud. She's a fraud. 24 hours after inauguration, the president stood in front of the stars of dead people at the CIA and spoke about how many people showed up as an inauguration instead of the value those people showed. And that's patriotism? You gotta be kidding me. She's a fraud.
You're telling that Conrad.
Not me.
That's your
So tired. If I stay in the seat any longer, I'm gonna go insane.
Everybody stand by. We have a lot more to
He's leaving. Raina, he's climbing out the window. I didn't type that
Obamacare
right.
could be replaced after it's been repealed. Is that a viable option? And what does it mean for healthcare negotiations?
Raina.
I have asthma, one of many cases in my life. So when my asthma symptoms kept coming back on my long-term control medicine, I talked to my doctor and found a missing piece to my asthma treatment with Brio.
Once daily Brio prevents asthma symptoms. Brio's
Oh,
for adults.
that means, Raina, that means see you tomorrow.
Control medicine like inhaled corticosteroid. Brio won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems.
He's all like,
Brio
see you tomorrow, piranhas.
open up airways to improve breathing for a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
Brio contains a type of medicine
But he did
that
sound
increases
good
the
after
risk
me.
of
Yeah, never.
increase the risk of hospitalization in children and adolescents. Brio is not because asthma is well controlled
Boy,
by the
come here.
long-term asthma control medicine.
Boy, come here.
Once
your
your asthma is
hair.
well controlled,
The
your
fuck?
doctor will decide if you can stop Brio and prescribe different asthma control medicine like an inhaler.
Why do you have tape in your hair?
Raina.
What's wrong with you?
What gets worse?
Raina. I know you're
What's
trying to
happening?
shoot this. Just ridiculous. He has to stay there and sleep with him. Excuse me. He has to leave as soon as he's done sleeping. You're trying to shit.
What? What?
Lock it in. TripAdvisor. Not enough room in your closet? Save space with the new Wonder Hanger Max. Now bigger and 50% stronger. It's
Gotta
easy.
stay.
Garments in the open slots. Lift and release.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Hanger Max triples your
I need to get something to drink.
Wrinkle-free, organized.
Because I kind of jacked up that he gave Butters away.
Clubs. So purchase your will. Organize your entire wardrobe with the Wonder Hanger Max system and up to hold 50 garments in one
Is that me, Raina?
bag. For most retailers.
I don't know.
He just lifted up his hat, grabbed Butters, and threw him at him. Like, take that and stick that.
Please don't cry. I feel bad now.
Booking.com, that's it. And with their price match, I know I'm getting the best price every time. Your summer vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com has.
I'm back.
We just told Ryan, too.
Great deals now at Booking.com.
No, let me type right. Type right. I think I'm typing too fast.
Is your dog trying to tell you something?
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Allergic dogs is a medical condition
It's like hitting the keys down with pressure. Make it tight.
The revolutionary medicine that's going to use the dog the relief they deserve. Aquafocus is supposed to the itch to provide relief in as little as 4 hours.
Oh my god, I see a spider. It's looking at me evilly. No, there's like a spider right in front of me looking at me. Not even moving. It's just looking at me saying,
Alexander saving himself. May.
oh god. I killed it. I think I killed it.
It's bad. I kind of ship everyone with Mikey.
Yes.
Ship who?
What Mikey? You should Butters and Mikey?
Oh no, no, I want to do like a high school role play with them. Dang it!
With the what?
Our male team.
You want to do a high school role play with them?
Yeah. Oh, you're actually okay with it?
Yes.
Ow. Okie dokie then.
Okay, fine. I just make it.
We have to make like another hangout.
There, he did it. You happy? You happy?
Investigator Gail Cardwell has done the research. That's right, Richard. By finding something 54 is top-notch, both in body and service. Trushdale and call 54 today, and you'll get 60% off all carpets. From now until the end of the month. Plus 12 months sales cash and my personal guarantee. Enter promo code Trushdale and save an extra $100.
The first thing you hear from your little brother is just
The CNN original series.
What happened?
The first thing you hear from your brother is, I just made a new record, kisses, Mikey. You are the 34th man I kissed.
What?
Placed at the same time, Jeremy, you're going to be reporting at the White House on this very sensitive issue. What do you learn?
Well, I talked to a senior White House official just a little bit ago, and essentially the thinking is, following this president's tweet, which really sent a lot of people kind of scrambling to figure out what is the White House's strategy. Are they trying to repeal?
What is he, a freaking arm lock? I'll make the group.
Just to repeal and do a replacement later. So I talked to a senior White House official who said that the president and the White House are still very much anxious
with the freaking nasty male role play thing.
But at the same time, they are very much looking at this possible new strategy of doing a repeal standalone first, and then forcing, or trying at least to force Congress to replace the bill later on. But still driving all of this at the White House.
How many brothers do we have?
One of the main reasons why they're trying to pass health care again comes back to tax reform. They understand
Alexander,
Devin, Ryan, and so there's five.
Also help them as they try and get those.
I said 5 of them. I get 3 of them, and you only get 2. You piece of junk lacquer.
A lot of people, I'll read it. If Republican senators are unable to pass what they're working on now, they should immediately repeal and then replace at a later date.
The problem is you can't trust them to do that. I mean, remember, this is roughly
watching the news?
Been allowed that sequestration to go into effect. It was supposed to be
I'm in the office.
consequence that would create, they uncoupled the debt crisis, dealing with that from deficit reduction, right, Wolf? And in the end, they couldn't get their act together, and so you just had all these arbitrary cuts. I mean, they couldn't be trusted to do that. There's a reason why when you're saying to your teenager, you don't say,
I'm really worried about you right now because I hear a lot of screaming and a lot of laughing.
The homework,
I'm scared now.
So what do we do right now?
Ron, you wrote a good column on the tension that apparently exists.
Wait, we basically needed our profiles.
Republicans having rates as opposed to lower income, older supporters of the president as far as healthcare is concerned.
What do you mean by profiles?
And there's no reason
Hang on, Devin's gonna give you an example.
On an alternative.
You know, give me an example faster, you fat pig.
Fundamental contradiction in that the healthcare debate hits the 2 poles of the Republican coalition. On the one hand, the tax cuts in the bill affect only families at $250,000
Wait, I'm supposed to be in high school? So you're supposed to be 14.
In this bill go to the top 10% of earners. And so this is something that is important to the kind of the Republican donor class, the donor base. On the other hand, the bulk of their votes now come from older.
Are they all going to be freshmen?
Majority of Trump's votes came from white over 45, blue collar white.
They're all older than each other. But freak it, who cares?
Are those who are hit the hardest.
I just see Mikey as a senior, like,
Kaiser calculated the premiums of 60-year-olds at $30,000 in every county in the country except for 2 with the Medicaid cuts. And as you can see in the polling, they have noticed support for the bill among blue collar and older whites has plummeted. And while I agree with Jeremy that passage would give them momentum, I'm not sure.
I'm gonna go make a little high school degree thing.
Less than 20% of the public in polling is now supporting, and I think that is why Republicans are fought.
All right, everybody stand by because there's more information coming in. We're getting some new details on why some state officials are just saying no to the president's voter fraud commission.
Wait, they're different ages. Do I just make them all 14 right now? What should I do?
Basically, Mikey's older.
Yes.
So what age would he be?
Would it Mikey be in college? If he's 14, Alexander's 15, and he's 16. And that means freaking.
Then he'll be like in if Mikey's 16, then he'd probably be like not a freshman, junior, sophomore, or senior.
Quicken Loans has some very
Probably a
They were
junior.
all gonna be freshmen.
But that's your choice, though.
I don't know. That means we would have got held back so much.
3.5 million homeowners have already taken advantage of this fantastic.
Wait, let me get honest with that age thing.
Your choice.
I don't do this to me.
$100 every month on your mortgage. Quicken Loans is here to help you save your money. Why Quicken Loans? The home loan experts at Quicken Loans fully understand the HARP guidelines. We'll work with you to understand your specific circumstances and strive to find the financial solution that's best for you. We will guide you through each step of the mortgage refinance process to make sure that it's both simple and easy.
Oh God, no.
For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has
Wow, he's the nerd.
customer satisfaction.
They're both 14, right?
And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. If you're not familiar with HARP, it's a U.S. government program designed specifically for homeowners who have little or no equity.
My brother's just the youngest. He's not even supposed to be in here.
Why he sneaked in? He sneaked in.
He's just gonna fake his age.
That makes it simpler, easier, and even faster. Even if you've been denied for a HARP loan in the past, new guidelines mean that you now may be eligible. Give us a call and we'll give you a Quicken Loans mortgage review. And we'll do all we can to help you save money on your mortgage. It's simple and easy. Find out if you're eligible to take advantage of today's incredibly low interest rates and start saving money every month on your mortgage.
Are you guys role playing right now?
Go to QuickenLoans.com.
I'm just drawing.
Wait, Raina, what is like the junior and senior thing called?
The junior and senior is basically I think junior is your 3rd year and senior is your last year. Yeah.
So wait, what's the lowest?
Straight to you.
Freshman.
That.
Daily contact, half the price. Next, the women around President Trump. They have his ear.
Being freshman sucks.
After his latest attack tweet,
Maybe in a high school role playing on Roblox. I always choose freshmen.
Listen to how Optima Tax Relief.
I kept getting bullied because I was freshman.
Do you ever have a problem?
I'm supposed to be going. I'm in 8th grade. I'm supposed to be going to high school soon, so chill with that. He's the cute one.
Tried to work with the IRS on this, but they wouldn't listen and didn't until Optima Tax got involved. The stress was just lifted. It was gone.
I'm making a gay OC. I don't know
When
why.
I first called Optima Tax, I had over $18,000 in tax debt. And when Optima Tax was finished, I was completely out of debt. All I can tell you is if you're watching this right now and you got a tax problem, you gotta call Optima Tax. Would you like to get a letter like this? A document from the IRS that officially resolved your tax problems and with huge savings if you're able to qualify. Don't wait till it's too late. Call Optima for your free consultation today.
For your free consultation, call 1-800-786-1737. That's 1-800.
Yeah, I think my kid will be almost done.
United Shades of America.
I forgot to put name. It was Daisy.
Tonight, there's a new spotlight
Popular cute student.
created to investigate the president's unsubstantiated claim of widespread illegal voting in the 2016 election. As we reported, officials in multiple states are now refusing to comply with the panel's request for lots of personal voter information. See, the top foreman is digging deeper on the story for us.
So next is junior, right?
Multiple members have been mounting all day long, state after state after state, citing privacy concerns and legality concerns, whether or not the whole thing is a sham.
What?
Own home state of Indiana.
Next is junior, right?
Saying this is not something they can fully comply with.
3rd year.
What?
So many cities are corrupt and voter fraud.
Junior is 3rd year.
In a quest to root out allegedly rampant voter fraud, the President's Commission wants an ocean of sensitive information about every voter, including the person's full name, address, date of birth, political affiliation, voting, military, and criminal records, part of his or her social security number, and more. States, particularly some Democratic blue ones, are pushing back hard,
California is flat out refusing to hand over the info.
The president.
Sometimes at night I hear things, and I can't barely sleep because I keep hearing things
We
in my
will not
room.
comply. And Virginia, too. There is no evidence of significant voter fraud. But some states that went Republican red for Trump are also balking, including Utah, Alabama, Iowa, and Wisconsin. They'll hand over only some data, and still others are dismissing the whole idea of voter fraud run amok.
You might find some illegal activity, but not to the scale that's been described.
People that have died 10 years ago are still voting. Illegal immigrants are voting.
As a candidate, Donald Trump insisted fraud was a real problem. Even after he won the Electoral College, he lashed out at news more people voted for Hillary Clinton, tweeting, popular vote, if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally.
That does not look right.
To help steer his commission, he chose Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach. All the state's complaints, complete nonsense.
We're looking at all forms of election irregularities, voter fraud, registration fraud, voter intimidation, suppression.
Kobach has zealously hunted vote cheaters back home for months. Less than a dozen provable cases out of more than 1.5 million registered voters. What's more, he's a champion for voter ID laws, which many skeptics consider a way to suppress minority votes. And he was fined by a federal judge in Kansas just last week for his conduct in a lawsuit involving voting rights. Connecticut's take, given Secretary Kobach's history, we find it very difficult to have confidence in the work of this commission. The problem is that there is just no credible study showing there's ever been this broad fraud in voting that the White House is claiming. And look at how tensions are rising here. The Mississippi Secretary of State has not received the request yet, but says when he does receive it, he's going to protect the privacy of the citizens of Mississippi, and he will tell the White House, quote, they can go jump in the Gulf of Mexico. And Mississippi is a great state to launch from. Well,
yeah, if you lost the Secretary of State of Mississippi, you're in trouble on this issue. Tom Foreman, thanks very, very much.
I gotta go.
Who say this
whole request,
this whole inquiry would lead to even more voter suppression.
No, that's exactly some of the concerns, and I think you are looking at even Republicans who are saying, why aren't we focusing on something different? I think voter fraud has been a talking point for them before, but a lot of them are much more concerned, as you know, Wolf, about Russia and the meddling in the 2016 election. So it's strange to me looking at some of the historically Republican just being against the idea of compiling information, of there being some sort of registry. And what you're talking about is getting a lot of information together at the federal level in a way that I think a lot of conservatives should be skeptical of.
You know, Phil, does any of this effort address the real vulnerabilities that Russia tried to exploit in the 2016 presidential election?
I don't think it does. I mean, if you're the President of the United States, your first comment coming into office would be to your national security advisor saying, pull the team together and determine how we can protect, for example, voter rolls from being hacked. Not illegal voters within the United States, but efforts from outside, including the Russians. If we had been leading on this, Wolf, the President could be going into talks in Europe coming up and telling Europeans, we will lead an effort with you to counter the Russians. We neither have presidential leadership in this country to protect 2020. It's not about voter fraud. It's about a foreign entity hacking into our elections, nor do we have the international leadership capability to go to the French, who are also just hacked, and say, why don't we get together and counter the Russians? We've lost the game on this.
What does it say, Brianna, that the White House is spending a lot of time and money with this commission to go after a fear that has been so widely debunked? The president alleged 3 to 5 million illegal votes in the last election.
I think it just reinforces that when President Trump has an obsession about something, those around him, even if they don't believe it, and some of them who do, I do believe that Mr. Kobach